right, guys, welcome back. This is episode number 4. This is following our big game against Melissa. Fell a little short, but we're not going to get into that right now. We're going to start by thanking our great sponsor, City Park Development, for all that they've done for us, kind of getting us to where we are today, and we'll give them a big shout out. I am Phil Morgan.
I'm Blake Rundy, and like you said, Phil, this was an ending that felt like it was about 30 seconds too short. So, hey, Josh, let's roll the tape. I mean, listen, say what you want. That the arm was coming forward. There's been quite a few things going through my mind as I've looked over at that film, right? As I was shooting one of those video angles, there's a couple of things. One, you can't cry over spilled milk. But number two, I think it robbed us of what could have been an all-time classic ending. Right, there's moments where it feels like our offense is just going to go score and get the job done, and this felt like one of those moments. And at the very least, it felt like a moment where Dez was going to be able to come in and tie the game, and we're going to go to overtime and have an all-time classic Friday night game.
Well, it's an all-time classic Friday night game for Melissa, right? I mean, for them, that's a storybook ending. Force what they thought or what they were told was a fumble, right, and recover it to ice the win. I don't know, storybook. Look, the hard part for me is when you take the opportunity away from any group of kids to affect the outcome of the game by just missing it. And that's what happened. This is clearly you just missed it.
They missed it.
Missed it.
And you know, the other part that kind of irks on me a little bit, like, have a conference.
Yeah, why not?
Come together. It felt
How many times did they do that in the game?
Felt like they conferenced about a lot of other penalties in the game, and I can appreciate that. I'd rather a crew want to get it right than rush and get it wrong. But then, you know, during the biggest moment, it kind of felt like there was no conversation. It was just, let's move on with the game. And so it kind of stunk, but you brought up this analogy, and I think you posted it on social media too, right?
Yeah.
The windshield and the rear view mirror. So talk to us.
I don't know. I mean, look, so here's the bottom line. Competitors have to compete, and they have to be able to take things like this in stride. It's a human element of every game. I'm a huge baseball fan, and balls and strikes are the thing that people want to argue most about. But the time between one pitch to the next is super short, and so you've got to be able to flush things. You've got to be able to just get it out of your space and move forward. And I don't know. I got to looking and just really trying to spend some time wrapping my head around all the feelings that were associated with this moment. Yeah. And for me, I just started thinking look, when you're driving, you have a rear view mirror and you use it on occasion. It's only meant to be used for very short periods of time. If you're moving forward and you're spending all your time looking in the rear view mirror, you're going to crash, right? It's going to have it's dangerous to be looking back so often, so much, so hard with such intent. That's the nature of this show, is to have a segment where we look back. But the cool thing is the windshield is huge. Yeah. Right, it's huge, so you have great vision. Right, it's huge, so you can see the things that are important. Mm-hmm. It's huge, so that you can continue moving the direction, right, that you're supposed to with purpose and safely as well. So it really just gets to a place where it's hard. Every coach has to figure out a way to be able to say that was yesterday. Right, that was yesterday. We've got a bigger purpose. We got a bigger vision, and you may want to wear that all the different ways you want, but you can't keep carrying it in to tomorrow. It's got to stay in yesterday.
And that sermon is brought to you by Pin Oaks.
Stop.
No, I mean that's a really good word, right? And it's the truth. So the hard thing is it's hard to overcome a missed call late in the game like that.
29 seconds left.
But here's the other side of that coin. We also had opportunities earlier to get it done, and never let it come to a moment like that.
And this is where we talk about this. And we don't have a sticker for any of this stuff, but it's stuff that we've got to just get out. It's like clean football is almost unbeatable football. When you protect the ball, when you are playing with a level of care over the ball, like every possession you get is gold, because you don't know how many you're gonna get. So protecting the football, playing clean, right? Playing within yourself, avoiding penalties, like those kinds of things are – look, the bottom line is they're a big deal for coaches because they're a big deal. Mm-hmm. and we just have not been playing very clean football these first 4 games of the season.
Not settling for field goals when you get in the red zone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Being able to punch it in. So, like, there's always opportunities like that. And the bend of our show is to lift kids up. And
Sure.
so, you know, I tweeted out that clip, or I X'd out. No, it's still called tweeted.
You X'd it out.
I X'd it out.
We're going to X it out.
I put it out on X, the clip, and just kind of titled it, "You Make the Call."
Yeah.
Right? And it was pretty unanimous besides maybe 1 or 2 Melissa trolls coming on over. Which, by the way, like, if there's any Melissa people watching this isn't a shade at your guys.
No,
like,
look,
we're not saying your boys didn't play hard. We're just
No.
saying we would have loved to see the last 29 seconds played out. But anyways, you know, so tweeted that out. But then kind of Saturday night, it was like, all right, it's time to hit a reset. And so I just started threading together. I probably put out 35 clips, 40 clips,
Yeah.
and just said, all right, let's celebrate our guys and what they did.
And that's why we go to the game. That's why we take video. It's why
Yeah.
we're on the sideline, is to and we've got some great captures that we get to talk about over the course of this show. You know, credit to Melissa, right? When a competitor does what a competitor's supposed to do, you thank them for a great competition and you move on. You move on.
That was the best defensive game plan we faced all season.
Agreed.
You know, and so before we transition to the offense, you know, I think there was it was Solomon Hayes or Solomon Mays. I forget which his last name was, but he kind of did a small write up on the game, and he kind of made the statement that the Coyotes might be the best 1-3 team to ever exist in high school football. Right, and like,
you're not going to get an argument out of us.
While it kind of feels like, oh, that's like a backhanded compliment. It's true, and it's going to be up to these boys and these coaches to make that decision of, you know what, we're gonna turn this thing around, and tough losses and tough times make for strong men. Yeah, and I think these moments are when we're going to find out how strong is this team going to become. Because I think they have a very real shot to run the table and get the 3 seed in the district.
Yeah,
and then watch out, get into playoff play, and all bets are off.
Yeah, we'll definitely be a wild card in that regard. I mean, I tip my hat to Solomon. I in some ways, yeah, you're 100% right. I think that there is, but I think for me, it goes back to this. It goes back to identity issues.
Okay.
We talked about our defense trying to find their identity, and I feel like we've just got to keep playing the kind of game that we play and trust in it, right? The defense took some steps. We'll talk about them later, right? But overall, there are some things that we take out of this, right? This is a low-scoring game. What was your prediction before the game for the score?
What did I tweet out? 57-48?
Yeah, and I had
57-49?
And I had 55-52.
Yeah.
And the final score?
21-18.
Right. So there was some positives here. There was some really good things to take away from this especially about a unit that we have really been worried about. So overall, no one's happy with the outcome, right?
Right.
I think I put out there, I said, if you follow this team long enough, right, and you spend enough time with them, you feel exactly what these guys feel after a night like Friday night.
I felt for him, man. I
did too.
felt pain for him on Friday night. You know, and like you said, there's some really good signs, but at some point it's got to be some really good wins. Yeah. And I think those are going to come.
Yeah, we got to push it over. We got to push it over. Next week we'll have an opportunity to go out and try to get one of those wins, and I'm looking forward to it for them. I'm looking forward to it for me.
Well, hey, I think that's enough riffing up off the top. Let's talk about our offense.
Let's get into it.
All right, well, we'll split some duties here. We're going to talk about him. I mean, listen, we said the score was 21-18, so our offensive numbers were clearly not what they were, and so we've said it a lot. We've got thresholds that have to be met in order to get stickers.
Yep.
But a lot of these guys are going to get shouted out in different ways. So I'm going to talk about, number 1, Edward Superman Chum Bucket Chumley. You know, hey, Edward Chumley had yet another game. Mr. Superman, he goes 18 carries for 83 yards, and then he pops 2 into the end zone. our 2 touchdowns on the night. And those were cool to see. His celebration, he did his typical, I don't even know what it is, what that celebration is.
Yeah.
And then he does.
I don't even know what to say about that first one.
Then he does the Superman. And he had 1 reception for 9 yards. So listen, Edward Chumley is going to be our 2 stickers on offense for the night.
Yeah.
But I mean, he played a heck of a game. Once again, not a single guy could take him down one-on-one.
Yeah.
He had a. I was going back and looking at the clips. He had a spin move. He ran up the gut on one, and he had a spin move on a kid it looked like he spun in a phone booth, and that kid just dropped to the ground trying to find him. It was so funny to watch Edward Chumley just spin out of his shoes, and I was like, I haven't seen Edward Chumley go to the spin move very much.
I don't think I've seen that move on any video game either. I think he invented a new move in that moment. To do that move on NCAA, you'd have to break your joystick. Like, I think that's what would have to happen. You'd be like, break the joystick, trying to hit all the buttons at the same time. But it was. I mean, it's typical. What Coach say? Edward-ish, Chumley-ish, right?
Yes.
It was just Chumley-ish game. I mean, he continues to play anywhere he needs to play and do the things he needs to do. And he's just got a grit, man. There's just a grit to him it's undeniable. Like he just does what he's supposed to do. Just runs hard.
Bottle. If football coaches could bottle Edward Chumley
and give everybody a little sip.
Yep. Get everybody a little sprinkle of Chumliness. Yep.
Baptize everybody in a little Chumley.
Now we're just getting irreverent out here.
Now I'm probably going to get in trouble. Okay, I got
no,
it.
but I mean, like, he had a great game, and you know, it's not for the fact that the rest of our offense didn't do anything. It's just that thresholds weren't met. I would say Ronald Bell was close. Ronald had 9 catches. That 10 catch mark would warrant, I think, a sticker for sure.
Sure.
You know, so Ronald Bell had catches on it. Like Ashton had catches. Ace had a catch on that final drive.
Ashton and Ace both had catches on the final drive that were clutch, and we were moving, man. Those guys were moving the ball as an offense. And that lap, how long it was, I can't remember how long we had. It was
about
under
3 minutes.
Yeah,
it was two and some change.
Yeah,
no, it was 2 and some change.
Okay,
like 2:20 something.
I just know when the fumble that wasn't happened, it was at about 29 seconds.
The incomplete fumble.
The incomplete fumble. Yeah, that's the one. They were moving the ball so well, like it. And look, that my wife came back and she said she was in the crowd, and she had this conversation with one of the kids, the younger kids. I think it might have been maybe Coach Parr's daughter, and she said,
"Shout out Danica, we love you, Danica.
Shout out Danica, we got you." But she said something along the lines that led my wife to say, "Look, if there's any coach in the world that I'd want leading a 2-minute drill, it's your dad. Like, it's Coach Parr, because in 2 minutes or less, he's a genius, right? He just knows. He knows how to orchestrate and move the ball. He knows how to manage the clock. I've never been at the end of a game where I thought Aubrey almost put me on the edge a couple of years ago." That almost put me on the edge, but you know, he knows how to handle that moment. He's calm, he's decisive, and that's what she was communicating. Like, it was just he's good, he's got this. It was.
I agree. I agree with everything that your wife said and that you communicated, right? Like 100%. It was interesting on our coaches show last week, kind of getting to ask Coach Rigg about how that dynamic with he and Coach Parr works, and getting plays in, how they're going about that process. And you can see it during the game where it's like, you can see the moments where they might be debating on which play to put in or the direction to go. But like, when it gets down to it, those two seem to just be in sync. And it's like, all right, we're just going to go. Yeah. We know exactly what we need to do. We know exactly where we need to go. We're going to get the play in. We're going to move. And you can feel nervousness behind you. But everybody on the sidelines, you're like, oh, no, this team's good.
Situational football, I know they practice it every week. Right, they put them in different positions. Whether it's, you know, you get a last-second turnover, you know, on the plus side of the field, you get 2 minutes or less, 2-minute drill. You know, I'm pretty sure that most teams will work a 4-minute type offense as well.
Yeah.
You know, just all sorts of things, and it all. I mean, it was paying off. You know, and right up until that very end. So it's just a great compliment. My wife's a football wife. I'm pretty blessed that way. But I thought she had a really great take in that moment. And, you know, shout out to our offense. I mean, you fought. I think the biggest takeaway was from a defensive scheme. They really found a way to try to keep Zai from being mobile.
They did. And I'm excited for our coaches to get in the lab, get in the film room, break it down, because I guarantee you there are going to be other people that will try and copy what Melissa did.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll work as well the second, third, fourth time around.
No.
Because
We
our
have
coaches
chess
will have
players.
counters and stuff to it.
Yeah, we have chess players. They're gonna figure that out. Prep Zai, and look, just as a reminder to everybody out there, before we move into defense, these kids wear this, and they know where they have failed, right? They know their shortcomings when it comes to the game, and they've sat in this over a weekend. I got a feeling, come Friday night, they're gonna be pretty hungry.
It's gonna be Katy Perry fireworks out here.
God, I don't know about that. Just for the record, it was that bald guy that brought up Katy Perry in the stats show, not me.
Listen, fireworks, man, fireworks. I'm not gonna sing it, okay? I'm not gonna sing it.
Thank you. You've
Not
done
gonna
that on a
sing
pod
it.
before. So
Yep.
thanks for not singing on this pod.
I might sing later. There's no promises yet.
Come on, Josh. You got to get ready with the mute button. Got to get ready with the mute button. Let's go, man. 7-second delay.
Well, should we get into the other side of the ball?
Let's talk about defense. Well, you want me to start it off?
Yeah, you start with him.
Look, I said earlier that I felt like our defense is continuing to grow. I feel like they're taking steps every single week, right? They're maturing. They're playing a little harder. I think some of that is sparked by some guys that are being moved around, but nonetheless, there's one guy who's been on the defensive side of the ball the whole time, and he shows up in our stat sheet this week, and just the dude hits, like has no fear. He has no problem running into violent activity. And it's Josiah Smith, man. Just incredible. He's going to lead the team this week with 11 tackles, which gets him a sticker, right? 11 tackles, 10 of those double-digit solo tackles with one assist.
That's impressive. That's
it's
really impressive.
great, man. Like, that's what we want. We want to see that very physical, dynamic, violent, run to the ball, don't be afraid. I mean, purple helmets, like Josiah was constantly leading that charge.
He was downhill. He was being disruptive, and even when he wouldn't make the final, like he wouldn't bring him down solo. Like there's one that he assisted on where he grabs the guy's legs, and I think he holds him up in time for Caden. I think it was Banks potentially to get there and finish the playoff. But he's got him corralled. He's holding on to him. He's not letting him go in the backfield.
Oh yeah, so that was a run up the right, that run off the right end.
Yeah, off their right side, and
JoJo has his legs. JoJo's laid flat out on the ground and will not let go of those legs.
Yep. and that's the mentality and the mindset that you need to have to become a winning football team. And there's very much JoJo more and more on a weekly basis starts to remind me a little bit of Jameson and Grant.
Yeah.
And if you reminded me of Jameson and Grant, shout out Jameson, shout out Grant. I don't know if you still watch the shows or not, but you just got a shout out. So
we're
now
about
you
to find
got
out
to.
if they watch anymore.
We're gonna shoot you a text. Hey, why'd that other ball guy talk about us? If you're reminding me of those two guys, that's a really good place to be. And JoJo is putting in the work and going downhill, and he's showing up with the plays, and the stats. And he's doing it in such a selfless way. He's not out there flashy for himself. He's just hard nosed. I'm gonna put my hard hat on and go to work.
Two out of three guys that led our team this week in tackles are guys that typically play defense, and that is a incredibly positive.
All three of those guys typically play defense now.
Well, now, but that wasn't the plan. I don't think going
foreshadowing,
into, right?
Foreshadowing.
Now you know where we're going with the next one. Blake's going to take it over. You've talked about him once already.
Oh, I get him again.
You get him again, brother.
Number 1, Edward Superman Chumbucky Chumley.
There he is. We need Josh. We're going to have to find the cape. We're going to have to find the cape.
Hey, so Chum's going to get 2 on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get 3 on the defensive side of the ball. You were tied for second on the team with 10 total tackles, 4 solo, 6 assisted, 2 sacks. Chill a little bit, brother.
No.
Actually, don't chill.
No.
Hey,
don't
Edward
listen to
Chumley.
him. Don't listen.
Edward Chumley, continue to take the game over.
I do it too.
Continue to take the game over.
I do the same thing. I know what you mean, brother. But no, man, he's so much fun. His speed, it's hard to block a guy that moves that fast. And I think that's what these defensive lines are having to encounter. They're having to counter this guy whose first step is quicker than 95% of the people on the field.
Yeah. It's just we were watching the three of us, I'm including Phil, myself, and Josh behind the computer. He's gotten so many mentions. Eventually, he's going to put his picture in there so everybody can see who Josh Wright is.
He'll never do it until we put it out there.
We were watching clips, and some of them were Chum just shooting gaps. Even when he's not making plays, just shooting gaps, just shooting gaps. I feel like a broken record. And it's so impressive to see what he does because Edward is not the biggest guy on the field, but he plays with the most heart, and that's why Edward Chumley continues to show up in every facet of our game.
When you shoot the gap, and even if you go whizzing by the quarterback, think about this. The quarterback knows now there's somebody behind me, right? And now he knows I'm on a clock. I've got to get rid of the ball. Mm-hmm. And then you rush that quarterback, right? You put him into a place where he feels like he has to make a play. Doing that in and of itself is enough to disrupt.
Part of the reason their quarterback was 5 for 15 passing on the night.
Let that sink in for a second.
Part of it.
Yeah, 5 for 15. 5 for 15. Like that's and I mean it was
even I can do that math.
Yeah. And some of that has to do with some of our corners, right? Some of that has to do with the disruption there's a lot going on there, but what an incredible thing to see Edward continue week in and week out disrupt that backfield like that. It's so much fun. Well, let's talk about the next guy. Tied him. He tied Chum.
Come on now.
He tied Superman. It's Austin Crowley.
Yes, sir.
Comes in with 10 total tackles, ties for second on the team. He had 4 solo, 6 assisted. He had a tackle for loss on the night, a big tackle for loss, and he's involved in a sack. You know, all of this is every time like two big plays where we're changing the momentum. You're moving them the wrong direction. I know we've been talking about Austin Crowley from the beginning. He's been very important. He's played a huge part in the defensive scheme, and I really felt like Melissa brought some of the very best out of Austin to the forefront.
Yeah,
I mean, it did. It brought the competitor in him out. Don't let that guy get hidden. Whatever you ate pregame, Austin, eat it again. Like, and just every week make that your deal, man. You had a great game, incredible, like 3 total stickers from us, man. And it was fun to watch you play.
Yeah, man, Austin Crowley, great job. Hey, I'm going to talk about one of our offensive guys, another one of our offensive guys, number 7, our man Ace Trailer. He's going to get 1 sticker on the night.
Dude, the reality is he's the Swiss Army knife.
He really is. He really, really is. So he's going to get 1 sticker. You had 1 total tackle. Your sticker is that you are credited for a half a tackle for a loss.
Yep.
But half a tackle, a full tackle, I don't care. You get a sticker, brother. And he's another one of those guys you talked about hurrying the quarterback earlier. I've got a clip of him. He rushes the quarterback. He doesn't get Noah. But Noah has to. That's Melissa's quarterback. Noah has to dump the ball into the flat, and Ashton Ansley, another one of our receivers, comes up and makes a tackle. It was like a 2-yard gain, but that was built off of Ace pressuring the quarterback, and so he was another guy getting into the backfield all night long, coming in our cheetah package and doing some of what needed to be done just to make sure we are in this game. And so I love that mindset all over the field. Ace Trailer's going to get a sticker on the defensive side of the field.
Yeah,
I think that's his first defensive sticker of the season.
It is.
And so Ace, not only can you go for 2 touchdowns in a quarter, you can also show up on the defensive side of the ball. And so once again, this is another young man that continues to do more and more stuff, and I become more and more impressed with him and just enamored with his character. You know, he's such a good guy to talk to.
Yeah, and I mean that's an understated, and I think undervalued part of some of these guys is just how personable, how real, right, down to earth some of these guys are. Ace is one of those guys. Like he has a level of maturity about him that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he never gets too high. He never gets too low. He's really even-keeled and just does what needs to get done.
Likable dude. Like he's easy to talk with. He's easy to interview, and it's just you got some fans over here, and it's a lot has to do with just who you are, even more than what you do on the field. But we do appreciate what you do on the field too.
It's. And that's saying something because it's hard to be a better man off the field than what he is as a player on the field because he's a pretty darn good player.
He's a really good player.
Hey, who you got next?
Oh, look, I love calling out this guy. Number 25, Cash. Money. Oh, who's the first to sing? Who was the first to sing on the pod?
It was you.
Cash Williams, man. Look. First of all, we're going to say it. We got a great video of your sack. And it's probably going to be I think ultimately it might go down as a shared sack in some people's eyes, but I mean, you had him by the jersey. He was going down. You didn't really need the help, but then who comes in to help make sure seal the deal? Right? Superman himself. So Cash Money Williams gets in on the stickers. He gets 2 stickers. One of them is for that sack, and it was gnarly. It was awesome, and it was deep. I love how deep in the backfield it was. They brought it down like
7-8 yard sack, wasn't it?
8-9 yard sack.
Okay.
I mean, it was back there. But you had 7 tackles, right? I mean, an incredible and you also had a half of a tackle for loss.
Yeah.
So it just Cash flipped a switch this game. Right, I think something, and you could just see it in his eyes.
Some of the old Cash aggressiveness was on display last night, on Friday night.
I felt like there was another level to his aggression, the physical way he played the game, the motor behind everything he did. I just felt like it got ramped up. Right, he just drove harder. I felt I don't know. Maybe it's just me from the outside looking in. Cash, you can set us straight. Don't be afraid to tell us, But it felt like something ramped him up, and it could be just the idea that this was the crosstown, for lack of a better term, or the next town over rival. But had a great game.
I still think, I know he did. I still think my favorite Cash clip that I had from that night was actually on Melissa was punting the ball. And one of their gunners was trying to run down on coverage, and Cash just put him in a phone booth and didn't let him get more than like 8-10 yards down the field. Just locked him up, blocking him, and you could see the frustration on that Melissa player growing and growing. And Cash is like, too bad. Like, you're not getting around me. I'm not letting you go. My quads are literally, Godzilla-like. I squat small buildings for fun. You're not moving me, so deal with it.
Yep.
And he kind of like waved him off as he went to the sideline, and I loved it. I probably watched that clip more than I should have, watching a punt block clip. It was just a guy blocking somebody on a punt, and it made me laugh. But that's Cash Williams. He was willing to do what needed to be done, and he showed up, and I think he had his best statistical game for sure, but one of his most impactful games of the season. And so I think this is another kid that's going to continue to grow into that. Hey, number 90, Caden Banks. I think his best game to date.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I really think it was his best game to date. He had 8 total tackles, 2 off of being tied for that top 3 sticker on the team. So 8 total tackles, but Caden, you're going to get 1 sticker for your tackle for a loss. And so I think that was on the one that he partnered with JoJo with. But still, him coming in to clean it up, watching Caden come and ready to just like annihilate that kid was quite funny.
Yeah,
watching.
I mean, you could tell it was coming. Like, you knew it was going to happen. But just the way JoJo had him wrapped up down low, I thought, oh no. Oh no. You just need to go down, bro. Like, you need to go down. And then Caden made him feel it.
He made him feel it.
Yeah.
I felt like what was about to happen was what the hit that Rowan took when he held onto the ball over the middle.
Oh, yeah.
I put a clip out of that on Twitter. This isn't what this part is about, but Rowan took a nasty hit, held onto the ball. Super impressed by that, Rowan. Like, good job. Can't give you a sticker. Well, I guess we could make up a sticker for that, but
probably could.
But that's how I felt Caden was about to attack him, and I was like, oh, just go down, running back. Just, you're not even on my team. Just for the good of your football career, just go down, because Caden is hungry for a big play right here. And he came and got it.
And he did. Caden, great game. Shout out to you, man. You get a sticker. And here we go. The numberless wonder, right? Carter Dietz comes back in, 3 total tackles on the night, but the reason you get a sticker is because of the tackle for loss. Slides in, gets himself a big tackle, gets in behind the line of scrimmage. Again, all of these things are momentum killers. It's something where you go and disrupt their game plan. You have to change the game script a little bit. What you thought was going to be like a third down for 3 yards that you've got to get now becomes a third down in like 6 or 7 yards, or, huge deal. But at some point, we got to get a brother's number. Like, we need to get a number. We still don't have a number.
Do you think at this point this is the coaching staff trolling us?
I think they're giving us. I think they're giving us a hard time. I think what
they're like, they know we need a number, and they're like, we're just gonna troll them and see how long they just keep going.
Right. And maybe it's like, hey, do your own work. Go look at the video. Find the number. Get that number and put it in. Well, anyway, either way, Carter, great job. You keep showing up in the stat sheet. You keep showing up in the thresholds. And as long as you do that, man, we're going to keep shouting you out. Thank you for your hard work. It was noticed this time.
Hey, number 11. I got a number for him. Israel Johnson. Another pass breakup along the sideline.
Come on.
I mean, I think technically, I don't know if this showed up in the Max Preps stat sheet, but I'm going to count it as such.
Okay.
Because they tried to test Izzy. They saw him come in and they're like, oh, we're just gonna throw a jump ball and let somebody house him, like let somebody moss him, and Izzy has no part of that.
Yeah.
He's not interested in any of that. And so, it goes down the sideline, kind of a go fade type of ball, and receiver goes up and Izzy just knocks him out of bounds.
That was great.
And so I've got
high IQ.
I was right there. It was right next to me. And so, I heard the receiver fall.
I know I have that video.
You have that video from the far angle? I have that video from the short angle. But just to hear the receiver's thud as he falls after Izzy pushes him out of bounds and doesn't let him come down with any feet in bounds was really cool to see. So, Izzy, we're going to give you a sticker for a pass breakup on that one.
Yeah.
I think that's worthy of it. You didn't let him catch the ball. That was a big part of the game. That was part of our defense stepping up, and Izzy's been a part of that the last couple of weeks.
A lot of fun.
The interception that wasn't.
The interception that wasn't. I mean, it's just certain guys are starting to stand out.
Yeah.
And that's part of finding that identity. This guy always stands out, by the way.
I have no clue who you could be talking about.
Right? Always stands out. Number 2, Zay Gentry.
Don't have any video clips of him.
Oh no, we got some video, right? 1 pass deflection, right? 1 pass breakup, 1 interception. And the big news on the night is you caught more balls on the night offensively than the receiver that you covered. Come on, baby.
You caught more passes from Melissa's quarterback than the receiver you shadowed all night long.
All night.
Let that Zay. Brother, did you have to make it that lonely for him on the island? Like, I put it out on Twitter a little bit, but like that lonely, Zay? You did that? Come on, man.
So look, he performed, and as he does, like people don't want to kick to him, they don't want to throw to his side, right? And it's for good reason. It's because of what he can do. It's because of what he does do. When you do test it, when you do have to go that way, he makes you pay. He made them pay, and that's why he's on 2 stickers for the game. But one of my favorite moments of the night. I mean, the Melissa student section was trolling hard on Zay all night, right? And there was one I think they were doing the overrated chant, overrated, And Zay turns and looks at him, and as they're doing it, he just claps with them. And he's like shaking his head.
Oh my goodness!
I loved it, man. It was a perfect troll back. Yeah. Like, it was the perfect moment. You didn't have to actually yell or shout or like get in your feels or all in your emotions. It's just, oh, okay, you gonna be like that? Okay. I just love that moment, man.
He goes
I
out.
told him after the game, it wasn't the right space for him to really appreciate the compliment that is, but man, just to let that kind of roll off your back and just roll with it. You're a dog. That's it. You're a competitor, and those little things they're just little things,
Yeah, and by the way, the reason this is so impressive, the reason what he has done this season is so impressive is because he's not guarding guys whose high school career is going to be over in 8 weeks.
Right.
He's guarding guys that are going to go play at D1 colleges, and he's holding them to numbers less than their own. And in this specific case this week, 0 catches, 0 yards, 3 touches, 5 yards from the running back position, right? Like, I jokingly put it on Twitter. They had to put him in the Wildcat to get him his touches on that game, and obviously it was more than just like, oh, we've got to get Jacob Nye the touches. Jacob Nye is a good player. They did it for a strategic reason. They scored a touchdown off of it. But Zay is just incredible. When you catch more balls from the other team's quarterback than the receiver you're covering catches balls is something to say.
Yeah, it was a great night for him, and he shows up, and so many new guys are stepping up. Overall, the reality is our defense is taking steps forward every single week.
They are.
And that's the stuff that we hope to see, right? We knew it was going to be a battle. Coaches talked about it in the coaches show midweek. Like, we knew defense was going to be a battle. We knew this was going to be a year where these guys had to grow, and they had to, it was trial by fire. You had to get out. You have to experience. You have to know what it's like to have to play in a gritty moment, in a do or die kind of situation. And when you don't have that experience, sometimes you're going to fail. Sometimes you're going to fall short. And what do you do with it? Like, how do you handle it? How do you get back up and keep punching? You know, you get punched in the face. What do? Well, you got to get back up, and you got to go back out and be the aggressor. And you know, and this team is learning some of those things along the way. And I have nothing but still, I still have completely high expectations. I don't see any reason why good things don't come towards the end of the season.
I do too. We've got one last defensive sticker to give out.
Okay.
Number 6, George Rogers had a pass breakup as well.
George, what's up?
They tried to throw over the middle on George, and George he's smaller in stature, but that dude is built like a truck.
Dude's built different.
He is strong, and you can see it when you talk to him, when you stand next to him. Like, the dude has some tree trunks growing out of the ground.
They thought they had a mismatch.
Yeah. And so they throw over the middle, and George just kind of runs in there and lays some wood and knocks it loose. And so, George, you're going to get a sticker for the pass breakup. Hey. I love seeing him come in here and get some love, get a sticker on, well, not on the board, but a sticker eventually to him so that he can do something with it. George, we see you. You're getting that sticker for the pass breakup over the middle late in the game. Tell him to stop testing you. But that's it.
That's it, man. Last segment. You ready to roll?
Let's talk about special teams.
Let's do it.
All right. Go ahead. You talk about him. You start with him.
All right. I'll do it, man. I have no problem talking about number 8, Mr. Zyonder Williams. Like,
yes,
we talk about guys stepping up and doing things that are not, like, normal for them, right? Something that's a little out of the ordinary. This year, we've seen Zy do a little something out of the ordinary. He's not used to punting, but, man, he's really kind of coming into his own with it.
Yeah.
3 punts, 117 yards, and really what we're going to give him this sticker for is what we call flipping the field, right? It's a special team sticker where you get a punt for over 50 yards, so it flips the field.
Or punt or return. So anything that flips the dynamics, the trajectory of the field. Yeah.
So in this situation, it's for the punt. Had a really great boot there for 51 yards, and I'm not. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I am kind of surprised, to be fair, like, that he's got that good of a leg, like, on top of his arm. Like, dude's got a leg too. Like, I think we need to do a deep dive on his punting, because I think Coach Rod mentioned it, right? I think he mentioned him and Desmar in terms of, like, kickoffs and punting and stuff. I think it's maybe time to do a deep dive in the stat show for the kicking game a little bit for next week.
Coach Rod also mentioned that he was like, "There's nothing Zy can't do. He could snap." And I mean, look at Coach Rod and I said, well, "Let's keep Zy from snapping the ball.
Can we please keep him away from
I
that?
don't want him getting munched right away." But he does. He shows it up with that long of 51, and then of course, I don't know if we said his name. Number 1, Edward Chumley. Have we said your name yet?
For this exact same stat threshold.
Yeah,
2 weeks in a row.
Fumble recovery on a punt.
Yep.
Receivers kind of looking at this punt from Zy and is like, "Oh, I'm going to catch it." And in my mind, this is how I've written it. This is my fan fiction. He feels the presence of Edward Chumley descending upon him.
Here's the cape blowing in the wind.
And as he feels Edward coming, he begins to get nervous. It's too late for me to fair catch. Whatever shall I do? And as those thoughts go through his head, he muffs the punt. It goes on the ground, and Chumley decides, "Oh, you thought I was running fast already? Well, watch this, Mr. Fumblerooski boy." And he dives on the ball, gets it. We take it into the end zone, having a little bit of fun with it.
What was this section? What happened to this section of our stat show?
Listen, when I talk about Edward Chumley so much, I got to find some different things. So now I guess we're writing fan fiction about Edward Chumley's feats on the field.
I feel like there needed to be a little background music for you in that section or something.
We
that
have
was
an
so
editor.
Wild.
We have an editor. But Edward Chumley's going to get a special team sticker for the fumble recovery on a punt yet again that led to points. So Edward Chumley, a special team sticker. Great job.
Yeah, really good. And look, Dez, number 82, our kicker. look, we've been kind of quiet on him for a couple weeks, and that's because the threshold hadn't been met. And we have a high threshold for our kickers because the expectation in the kicking game is super high. It really is 100%. Like that's the bottom line.
We will be perfect in every aspect of the game.
That's right. I mean, there's no reason to expect less, but when it comes to kicking, that really is the absolute standard. And so 2 of 2 on his field goals for the night.
Yeah, 2 for 2 on field goals.
Get you a sticker. You get on there for perfection, really is what it comes down to. And here's the thing. Kid has got a leg.
He can boom it for 50. He put out on Twitter 4 50-yard field goals out at the outdoor practice facility by the high school.
Yeah.
He can kick.
Well, we know a former kicker, kicked in college, and that's one of the things he came up afterwards. He goes, "We got a kicker." He's like, "We got a kicker for sure. That guy can kick. Like you could tell he's got a strong leg."
Shout out Eric Smith.
All right, Eric Smith, we got you.
I'm gonna shout you out, brother. Get you a little love in there. I mean, we didn't put it in the. That's our special team stickers, right?
Yeah, that's it.
We didn't put it in there, but like we could have given out so many Iron Man awards for Edward, for Ace, for Ashton, for who else crossed over? I think I saw Ronald Bell out there doing multiple things. Zay doing multiple things.
Talk about our line, guy.
I mean,
like you got Peyton and Jesse.
Yes.
Both of those guys are rotating in and out on defense as well as playing completely full time in the offense.
Yes.
It's just that mentality. It's who's going to step up and help us win a game. And the coaches, if they're going to do it and they can, they're going to put them in. They're going to get them those reps. It's different on the defensive side of the ball, right? Defensive line play is different than offensive line play.
Yeah.
I think some of those guys experienced a little bit of that. There were some moments where you could see some dudes getting tossed around, but they got right back up and they got right back in and they got back to work, man. That's this team. That's what an Iron Man does. Gets right to work and stays at work. And they did that. These guys all did that in this game.
Well, you convinced me. You guys are Iron Men.
You're Iron Man.
Way to be. No, I'm really impressed with our team, and I told them, I said, I think guys, you're scratching the surface of something great here.
Yeah,
they've just got to keep working. They can't become discouraged. They've just got to keep fighting. And the next opportunity to fight is Friday, October 4th at 7:30 p.m.
Homecoming, baby.
Homecoming.
Homecoming.
What should the fans do right now?
Well, they got to get tickets.
Yes.
First of all, if you get them early, they're a little cheaper than if you wait till the day of. Yeah, $6 tickets. So save yourself $4. Call and get your tickets early. Get that done. Or can they do it on the app?
They can do it on. I don't know if it's on the app or not, but they can go on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm sure Anpar has a link out there already.
Yeah, for sure. It always seems to drop on Monday. Don't forget to get your tickets early. They're $6. If you wait till the day of, you can still get them. They're $10, but it's going to be homecoming. There's going to be a lot of people.
But pay $6 and then go buy a hot dog.
Right. Like everything that you spend at a game goes to help all the kids from all the programs, and so it's money well spent for sure. But the big news is we're not in the no fun stadium anymore. Yeah, I said it. Our coach said it. I'm gonna say it too.
I'm not. That wasn't for you saying what you said. That was for them reserving the right for any specific game to outlaw any noisemakers whatsoever, and yet their side has cowbells.
Right. Yeah.
And
we get it. Your guys can't play in noise, so you have to have a pristine moment.
And I have a video of one of their student sections having a giant megaphone.
Yeah. Have fun in college.
Right, like
the game that I went to a couple weeks ago, OU versus Tennessee, had 117 decibel meter read from the field.
Yeah.
From the field. Like, that's loud.
That's an airplane.
That's a jet engine.
So yeah, bring your noisemakers. I don't want to hear complaints about the vuvuzelas.
No.
And by the way, shout out to me for typing the word vuvuzela correct on the first try.
It's literally in our script. He goes, shout out to me. I spelled that correctly the first time.
I did. I spelled it correctly the first time.
Oh,
I typed it. No red squiggly line came underneath. So I was like, oh, I got to Google this. Maybe like Google Drive just doesn't know the word vuvuzela.
Oh, let's get out of here. 5:30 tailgate, 6:30 the Coyote walk, and 7:30 kickoff. It's going to be a great game. Come on out, support those Coyotes. I think we got Frisco coming to town, so let's show them a little bit of what it's like in the den. As always, go Coyotes on 3.
1, 2, 3.
Go Coyotes.